Hello, my dear viewers. So, in last video, we discussed the various stages of an econometric experiment or econometric investigation, starting from specification of an economic model into uses of this model and the result from this experiment for policy analysis. Okay, so up till we discussed in the previous video. So in this video, what I am going to discuss with you is, sometime we may not have a proper economic theory to do certain economic experiment or economic experiment or investigation. Okay, so in previous example, we have taken the example of consumption function, specifically Keynesian consumption function, where we had a proper economic theory to discuss or to describe our problem. But sometime, especially when we discuss about non-economic things, or when we do certain experiment or investigation about non-economic things, we may not have a proper economic theory. So in such cases, what we have to do? That's today's topic. Let's see how we can do the things. Okay, so before that, let me to give you certain econometric examples. Okay, so econometric method is not only used to test an economic theory or estimate relationships, but also used to answer a lots of non-economic questions. Okay, so let's see certain examples. First one, why some people are engaged in criminal activities. Suppose if we want to learn why some people are engaging in criminal activities, can we study it? Of course we can study using some econometric methodology. Okay, then whether a job training program will improve a worker productivity. There are certain laborers or workers, if a particular employment training program has been given to such laborers, will it is there is an improvement over their productivity due to this training program? Then does the reducing class size will improve the elementary education? Okay, then how much do cigarette taxes will reduce smoking? What will be the effect of a fertilizer on a particular crop yield? How we can measure the return of educations? Okay, so all these are all things which are not directly related to economics. Okay, but as an economist or as a policy makers, we have to come across this type of a investigation often. Okay, so how we can do this type of an econometric experiment? That's the topic of this video. Okay, so all these 6 examples are taken from a book written by Woolridge, Introductory Econometrics. Okay, so I will discuss only 1 or 2 examples from here. If you want to get more examples, you can go to Woolridge textbook, Introductory Econometrics. Okay, from that you will get more examples. Clear? Yes. So let me to discuss the first one. Why some people are engaged in criminal activities. Okay, so as I told you before, in testing an economic theory or in verifying an economic relationship, what we have to specify is we have to specify an economic model. Okay, but the problem is most of the time we don't have a proper economic theory. Okay, so in such cases what we have to do, we have to rely completely on intuition or common sense. In certain cases, we don't have a proper economic theory to describe our problem. So what we have to do, we have to rely on intuitions. Sometimes, if it is possible, we have to connect this model, we have to connect our problem to a particular economic theory. That's what is called intuition. Okay, or we have to think using our common sense. We have to arrive at what would be the possible relationship between certain kind of variables. Okay, so here let us come to our example, why some people are engaging in criminal activities. Okay, so the decision to undertake a criminal activity is one of the resource allocations with benefits and cost associated with this activity. So in engaging a criminal activity, there is a resource allocations. This resource allocation includes both benefit as well as cost. Okay, so it was Gary Becker. He was a Nobel economist. Okay, his basic area is belongs to the household economics or family economics. Okay, so he what he has done, he has analyzed the criminal activities. Okay, why some people are engaging in criminal activities. This was first analyzed by Gary Becker. Okay, so what Gary Becker has done is he extended the utility maximization framework to describe individual participation in crime in utility maximization framework. Okay, so when we analyze a demand for a particular product, we used to refer to the utility maximization framework. Okay, so what the Gary Becker has done is he has used the same utility maximization framework to analyze why some people are engaged in criminal activities. Okay, so here we don't have a proper economic theory, but what Gary Becker has done, he has connected this theory, he has connected this problem with a particular economic theory. Okay, so here what Gary Becker has told that individuals make choices to maximize their well-being. Why some people are making choices? Only to maximize their utility or well-being. Okay, so the maximization of the well-being means what? Getting more resources. Okay, so in engaging crime, what is the benefit or what is the well-being? To get more resources, to get more money. Okay, similarly, this getting more money is always constrained to certain cost. Okay, in utility maximization framework, what's our aim? Our aim is to maximize the utility to get the more resources subject to certain constraint, resource constraint. Similarly here, what's our aim? What's the aim of a criminal? To get the maximum resources, maximum money subject to minimizing the constraint or minimizing the cost. Okay, so how we can express this problem? As I told you, there are benefits, there are costs associated with a criminal activity. We want to model this. How we will model this one? Okay, so first what we have to do, we have to get some variable that will affect the criminal activities. Okay, so criminal activity will be our dependent variables, and we have to finalize all those variables that will affect a criminal activity. Okay, so the first one, it's our duty to determine what are the variables will affect a criminal activity. Why some people are going for criminal activities? First one, a reward from the criminal activity. Okay, if the reward is very high, the people will go for more criminal activities. If the reward is very less, the people will not take risk. So there is a positive relationship between hours spent for a criminal activity and reward of an hour spent in criminal activity. How much he is getting from 1 hour of criminal activities. Okay. Then the second option, or the second variable is hourly wage in legal employment. As we know that this criminal activity is illegal employment. Okay. So if a person is having a legal employment, then he won't go for some illegal activity because he is getting some money from the legal activities itself. Okay, so he won't go for the illegal activities. So there is a negative relationship between legal employment and illegal employment, or hours spent for the illegal activities. Okay, the third one is, what would be the third one? Income from the other sources. If he has a good wealth, okay, then he won't go for these criminal activities. Okay, because he is already getting some income from others also. He has a good employment, he's getting some money, or he has a good wealth, he's getting income out of that wealth, then he won't go for criminal activities. Here also there is a negative relationship between this wealth as well as the income from other sources and the criminal activities, or hours spent for the criminal activities. Okay, then next one is probability of getting caught. As we know that the probability of getting caught is very high. If there is a criminal activity has been done, then there is a greater possibility of getting that person or capturing that person by police, then the criminal activity will be very low. There is a negative relationship between criminal activities and probability of being caught. Okay, if the probability of being caught is very high, then the criminal activity will be very low. Then probability of being convicted if caught. This means that what is the legal system in that place. If the legal system is very strong, okay, then the criminal activities will be very less. This is our intuition, or this is our hypothesis, or we hypothesize on the basis of our common sense. Okay, then expected sentences if convicted. Suppose if the person is caught, then he convicted, then how much years sentence will be declared by the judges or by the legal authorities. Okay, then his age may be a factor. Okay, yes. So these are all certain variables that we have intuitively derived, okay, in order to explain a phenomenon. This phenomenon is called why some people are engaged in criminal activities. Okay, so here we had a proper theory to explain this phenomenon, or this why people are engaging in criminal activities. Okay, but instead of relying on a proper economic theory, what we have done, we have connected this theory with utility maximization framework. Okay, so this connection is known, or the process of this connecting is known as intuitions. Okay, build the model on the basis of intuition. Clear? Yes. So here, as you know that after finalizing all these variables, we have to check some more things, or we have to answer for certain questions. First one is, there is any determinants of criminal behavior other than appearing in these equations? We have almost finalized some variables. Is there any other factors that will determine the criminal activities? There may be, because the criminal activities are, each and every criminal activities are not depends on particular factors. There may be some individual factors, or there may be some societal factors. Okay, so all such factors we cannot include it in our model. Okay, then is there is any variable that cannot be reasonably observed? Yes, surely there are some variable in our equation. How we can quantify the probability of being arrested for a person? How we can quantify the probability of being caught? There are certain issues in the measurement of these variables. Okay, and there are some variables that affect the criminal behavior, but that we cannot even list out. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to, when we prepare a model, we have to account all these things. Okay, all these matters we have to be taken into account. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to prepare an econometric model. In econometric model, we have to put error terms, or what we call random error terms. Okay, so what would be the equation? The equation would be the y is equal to, y means hours spent in criminal activity depends on a reward from the criminal activity plus, okay, reward, the legal employment plus income from other sources plus probability of being caught plus probability of being convicted if caught plus years of sentence plus age plus random error term. Okay, so this would be our model. Okay, so we can specify this model as y is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 plus beta 3 x3 plus beta 4 x4 plus beta 5 x5 plus beta 6 x5 x6 plus u. Okay, yes. So this u will capture all the omitted variable from this model that we are not included. Okay, errors of measurement in our model, then some variable that even listed. All such effects will be captured by these error terms. Clear? Yes. So what we have done here, actually here we have to do an econometric investigation about a topic that is not, it belongs to an economic theory, or that's not come under a purview of economic theory. So what we have done, we have relayed this theory with some existing theories in economics. Okay, so we have connected this theory with utility maximization theory. Okay, then we have derived some variables, and on the basis of this variable we have specified our econometric models. Then we have put a random error terms. Okay, then what we have to do, then no problem, you collect the data, you estimate the data, you make some hypothesis about the parameters. Okay, then you forecast. If you want to forecast, then you find out, you use this forecast or estimation for policy purposes. All this step you have to do. Clear? Yes. So let me take one more example. Okay, suppose a labor economist want to examine the effect of job training program on worker productivity. Okay, how a job training program will impact on worker productivity. What he have to do? Okay, so here we don't have a proper economic theory. Here we cannot connect our problem with a formal economic theories, but this is a very simple questions, a simple problem. We can find out what are the variables that will affect, okay, affect one's productivities based on our common sense. Okay, we know that if the education is more, okay, he will be more productive. Okay, if a person is having more experience, he will be more productive. So apart from this, if some people they are not educated and they are not experienced, for such people, if we have given certain job training programs, then their productivity will be improved. Okay, then we have to look is there is any other variable that will affect this job productivity or this productivity, worker productivity. Okay, yes, okay. So this is we have derived on the basis of common sense, but earlier in the case of criminal behavior we have made some intuitions. Clear? Yes. So this way we can find out, or we can do certain econometric experiment or investigations. Okay, if there is a theory, you take that theory. If there is no theory, you just make some intuitions. If there is no intuition and no economic theory, use your common sense. Clear? Yes. Then coming to some other portions, there are two types of econometrics. Okay, theoretical econometrics and applied econometrics. Okay, so the theoretical econometrics deals with developing new econometric theories or new econometric tools. Okay, so this econometrician is always they are trying to develop new econometric tool to analyze a particular problems. Okay, then that method, properties, then assumptions. Okay, all these things come under the purview of theoretical econometrics. So what this applied econometrics is doing? Applied econometrician is just applying all the tools which is already developed by theoretical econometricians to analyze the real economic problems. Okay, so say there are some people, they are always trying to make some new econometric model or new econometric tools, and there are certain people, they are always applying this tool into solve certain economic problems. Okay, so broadly we can divide the econometrics into two parts: theoretical econometrics and applied econometrics. Okay, then actually in econometrics what we are doing, in most of the case in econometrics we are relying on secondary data, because nowadays the secondary data is most powerful tool to analyze the data, to analyze an economic phenomenon, because large number of database has been very popular nowadays. Earlier we don't have that much database, so we always rely on primary data, but nowadays we are having a huge set of secondary data, and the most of the econometrician is doing secondary econometric experiment. Okay, so this secondary econometric experiments, for the secondary econometric experiment we need certain data. Okay, so these data can be available in IMF website, in World Bank open data website. Okay, there are certain databases like IMF database, World Bank open database, then UNDP database, then Food and Agricultural Organization stat. Okay, then if you, all the first four things is mainly discuss mainly provide the data on country wise data. Okay, where you will get the GDP, if you are looking for GDP for US, India, European countries, African countries, you will get all the countries. Okay, but from 5th onwards, handbook on Indian economy will give only the data on Indian economy. Okay, what GDP, what is gross state domestic product, GSDP, NSDP, then growth rate. Okay, different statistics about monetary aggregates, then fiscal aggregates, banking statistics. Okay, foreign exchange statistics, then export and import statistics. Okay, so handbook on Indian economy will give you all the secondary data with regards to the Indian economy. Okay, then CSO is there. CSO is providing you the data on consumer price index, wholesale price index, and GDP. Okay, NSSO is also give some data about the employment, consumption, and income pattern of the India. It is based on a primary survey, but when we take the data from NSSO, it will be our secondary data. Okay, so apart from this, there are certain databases, there are certain companies, like CMI, Provost, Indiastat.com, okay, EPW Research Foundation. These people, they are also providing you the data, but we have to pay for that. Okay, we have to pay huge amount of money for to get the data. Okay, so CMI, Provost, Indiastat, EPW, all these platforms will give you the data to analyze, but we have to pay for all these things. Okay, then not the limitation of statistics, but how the computer and econometrics are related. Okay, there's a mistake in the heading. So as you know that the most important change happened to econometrics after 90s is the uses of computer softwares to analyze econometric issues or econometric problems. Nowadays, the simple regression itself is doing with the help of statistical softwares. Okay, and nowadays almost all the new techniques can only do using high degrees of high level computer softwares. Okay, then earlier we can do certain problems using book and pen, but nowadays we cannot do the statistical problem or econometric problem using pen and pencil or pen and book. Okay, so let me to introduce you some software that is used by econometricians to do the data analysis. The first one is the MS Excel, Microsoft Excel. It is basically not an econometric software, okay, but it is a spreadsheet software. Okay, so there are certain options where you can do certain econometric experiments, certain simple econometric experiment like simple regression, okay, three variable regression model, all such kind of thing you can do in MS Excel. Dummy variable regression model. Okay, certain small thing you can do in MS Excel. So MS Excel is not an econometric software, but it's a spreadsheet. But you can do the data manipulation or data analysis or data organization in Excel. Okay, the second one is the statistical package for social science, SPSS. SPSS is also not an econometric software, but it's a statistical software. Okay, but there are certain options available in this SPSS to do the econometric investigations. Okay, only some idea or some methods or some tools are available in SPSS. Okay, then the third one is the it's R-WinRAT rats. These are also softwares, but I don't say that it's purely on econometrics, but R is a software that is heavily used in all branches of sciences. So it's not a econometric software. The mathematics people are using it, statistical people are using it, the computer science people are also using it. Okay, so R is a most powerful open access software that is widely used across the world. Okay, we can also use R to do certain econometric experiment. Okay, and WinRAT rats, these are also such kind of a command oriented softwares, but it is not open access. Okay, we have to pay for that. Okay, then there are some softwares that is very user friendly softwares like eViews, Microfeeds, Gretel, Stata. Okay, so these are also purely econometric software. eViews is purely econometric softwares. Microfeed is also purely econometric softwares. Gretel also a purely econometric and open access softwares. Okay, then there are certain highly complicated softwares like MATLAB and Python. This is basically used by mathematicians. Okay, but for econometric experiment also we can rely on this MATLAB and Python. Okay, so what I am trying to tell you that without computer softwares we cannot do econometric experiment. Okay, we can do only little bit things. If we want to for study purpose, for studying a particular methodology, we can use Excel or SPSS, but if you want to do some advanced analysis, we have to rely on certain advanced econometric softwares. Okay, and all these softwares are divided into two. The first one is the three part. Okay, all these softwares can be divided into three parts. First one is menu driven softwares. Second one is command oriented softwares. Third one, menu plus command oriented softwares. Okay, what is menu driven means what? You might have seen this Excel. Excel is basically a menu driven software. Okay, you go to edit, okay, then select the tools, then apply it. Okay, this is what we call menu driven softwares. But in command oriented software, there will not be any menu from the bars. Okay, you have to type the command, then the answer will come. Okay, then there are certain other softwares, there you will get both menu driven as well as command oriented. Okay, so eViews, Microfeed, Stata, these are all both menu driven as well as command oriented, whereas R, WinRAR, RADS, okay, these are all command oriented. SPSS, MS Excel is menu driven softwares. You clear? Yes. So these are all about this chapter, or the first chapter. So in this chapter we discussed what's econometrics, okay, why we need to learn econometrics, why there is a new subject econometrics, scope of the econometrics, methodology of econometrics, okay, the type of the data in econometrics, the source of the data, then how this computer and econometrics are related. Okay, so for teaching you all these things, I have referred certain books. Okay, the first book is Chris Brooks' Introductory Econometrics for Finance. It's a wonderful book. Okay, it's mainly aimed at the finance students, but the introductory chapters for economic students also, it is highly useful. Okay, the second one is the Damodar Gujarati Basic Econometrics. Majority of the part I have taken from this Damodar Gujarati, and one more book is there by the same author, Econometric by Example. That's also a wonderful piece of work. Okay, then there is a book by Indian author Shankar Kumar Bhaumik, Principle of Econometrics, a modern approach using eViews. It's a wonderful book. Okay, it's published by Oxford. Then Jeffrey M. Woolder, Introduction to Econometrics, Senagake. Then G.S. Madala, Introduction to Econometrics. Okay, then one more book is there, Introduction to Econometrics by Christopher Dougherty. Okay, so if you want to learn more about econometrics, okay, you please refer all these textbook. Okay, then as I told you before, if you look all the textbook, all this textbook may be written the same thing in different manner, but that you have to identify. That's your duty. Clear? Okay, so I hope that this session and video will be helpful to learn how to do an econometric experiment when we have a proper economic theory. Okay? Okay, thank you.